In this video, I'm going to show you how to cut out the Sweet Pea Apron for kids in a way that the print flows across the seam lines. Hi, I'm Anna. I'm the designer behind Dénes Anna Design. I'm a surface pattern designer, clothing designer, and sewing pattern designer. The Sweet Pea Apron sewing pattern for adults and for kids is available to download for free on my website. Find the link under this video. Let's start with a reminder to prep your fabric before cutting. Let me explain a little bit about the fabric and your sewing pattern first. I'm using this print I designed a long time ago, called Don't Forget Your 5-a-day Fruit and Veggies, which is a one-way directional pattern. This means I have to be careful not to cut the pattern pieces upside down. The grain line, which is marked on your pattern with a straight arrow, will help you to cut out your pattern correctly. On one hand, it shows you how to lay your pattern pieces on the fabric. If it's a directional pattern, your arrow should always point down. On the other hand, this applies to any type of fabric and print you use. You should place it so the grain line on your pattern is parallel to the selvage. Parallel to your selvage is what we call the long grain. This is known as the sturdier grain. The fabric also has short grain, which goes across your fabric width. The short grain is limited to the fabric width. However, the long grain is as long as the bulk of the fabric. This damask print has a clear center. This means you can align the center front of your pattern piece with the center of the print. So what is the secret of print matching? The only secret sauce is to align the fabric along the actual stitching line rather than the edge of your pattern piece. So after joining two fabric pieces together, the print continues flawlessly. If any of this terminology confuses you, I created a glossary to help you out for common terminology used in sewing pattern and sewing. And I will constantly update it as I go. I link this under this video. Now let's see how the print matching works in action. First, I cut out the skirt panel on fold. I wanted the fruit cluster to be in the center. Otherwise, I tried to place it in a way to save as much fabric as possible. After cutting, let's mark the notches by snipping a little into the fabric, but be careful not to cut deeper than your actual seam line. Okay, now it comes the magic. I want to cut the waistband, but I want to match the print. I took the skirt panel and placed on top of my fabric in a way that's matching the print underneath my fabric. Basically, camouflaging. If I'm doing it correctly, you will have a hard time telling apart the skirt panel from the fabric underneath. Once I'm happy with the placement, I lay my pattern piece on top of my skirt panel to find the center front and the sewing line. Now I take my waistband pattern piece and align it with the center front, but also overlapping the waistband pattern with the skirt pattern, so the seam line is on top of each other. In this case, I have a 1 cm seam allowance at the waist, which means that there is a 2 cm overlap with my pattern pieces. Once the front waistband pattern is in the correct place, I carefully remove the skirt panel and pattern piece. Now it's time to cut out the front waistband. Don't forget to mark those notches. Now let's cut the back waistband. Here I don't need to match the print with anything, so I just cut it where is the most economical, following the grain line of course. Next, let's cut the top front pocket. Now I need to use the front waistband and overlay it with the fabric piece I have on the table and match the print. When I'm happy with the camouflage, I place the waistband pattern piece on top to find the center front and the seam line. To make my life easier, I folded up the 1 cm seam allowance on the pocket pattern piece and matched the seam line with the waistband pattern. Once the pocket pattern piece is in place, gently remove the waistband pattern and fabric panel. Before cutting, don't forget to fold out the pattern if you folded up the seam allowance. Now let's cut out the pattern and mark the notches. Next, let's cut out the top front panel. For this, I used the pocket fabric panel to match the print and placed it on top of the fabric I have on my table. It was easier here because it is the same pattern piece, only longer. I matched the bottom of the front pattern piece carefully with the bottom of the pocket panel, then carefully removed it before cutting out. Now is the matter of cutting out the 2 straps to the right side and to the left side. For this, I used the front pocket piece to help match the print to the right side of the pocket and to the left side of the pocket. Now you already know how to print match it. To make sure I will use the right strap for each side, I marked the back side of the fabric with a pencil to easily know when I'm sewing later which goes on which side. Lastly, I had to cut the ties. I didn't have enough fabric left to match the print here, so I just cut it out from where I was able to fit it. Now let's sew this apron and see how those print matching will turn out. I already have a sew-along video of the Sweet Pea kitchen apron for the adult version. However, the construction process is exactly the same. Find the link to it under this video if you would like to watch it. Now let's speed up this process and watch the apron come to life. There it is. I'm quite happy and proud of it. While the print matching is not 100% perfect everywhere, I did manage to do a pretty good job with it and have quite a few satisfying seam lines. If you like my content, you can support me for free by subscribing and engaging with my videos.